Dave sat in the briefing room. He was early by a while, but he enjoyed the silence he was getting. It felt like almost every minute in the past few days he was running from cultural misunderstanding to the next. He shut his eyes and started whistling a tune his mother would sing him in her native tongue, a song whose words were as old and outdated as his family history, but a song that always brought him joy and made him proud of his ancestry. "Anomaly, David?" Gavi's voice broke the melody. "What is that sound you are making?" "Oh, it was the national anthem of the country my ancestors were from," David said sheepishly. He had forgotten about Gavi. "It is a song about protecting your homeland and standing up for what is right." "I understand. I do find its notation enjoyable." That's good. I enjoy it too," David said before picking the melody back up. As the clock started to tick down to 11, the team started to make their way in. First through the door was the scientific team, led by Maya, and ended with Hans, who was writing excessive notes as he moved. A bit after them, the pilot trio came in, mostly covered in different types of grease. Then Jackson and Emma promptly set up a line so that Cole and Andrew to listen in and respond. Finally, the security team all marched in and sat down. "Okay, looks like we are all here, so let's get started," David said, standing up and activating the holo projector. "As you are all aware, we are currently in FTL towards X5001, an uncharted and unexplored solar system about 17.6 light-years from Sol." The position of the system appeared on the holo image. "Initial reconnaissance suggests there are at least 4 planets orbiting an F-class main sequence star. The Council hopes that the system doesn't have too many dangers." He looked around the room as he spoke. Everyone but Hans was paying attention. "We should be arriving in about 2 weeks shipboard time." A collective groan from the whole team was loud enough to force David to stop. He understood why, but that was the normal speed that most of the rest of the galaxy used. I know, he said to quiet them down. "It's a lot longer than one of our ships would need to cover that jump. But our ship doesn't need to care about different species and their G-force tolerances." He gave them a hard look to make sure everyone was paying attention. "Now, once we de-jump, the ship will make a pulse scan of the system and assignments will be issued after pilots. Be ready to fly not just us around and security. You are on standby as the extraction force. Maya, you and the field team are been deployed together. I am also going to arrange an armed escort. Anyone you want in particular?" Maya looked at her team, and David just caught the slight glint in her eyes as she turned to answer. "Can I ask for a non-human escort?" she asked pointedly. "I don't see much reason why you couldn't," David said back, trying to figure out what she was up to. "Great. Then we would like Samantha, Kidrax, and Noila," she said. "I don't know a Kidrax or a Noila. Can you tell me their race so I can make contact?" David said, "Kidrax is a Zandrafane and Noila is a Vishtani." She quickly replied. David noticed that Hans had finally stopped taking notes and was staring daggers at Maya. Also did Samantha. "I'll see if I can make those arrangements. Anyway, engineers, I have good and bad news." He paused a bit unnecessarily. "Well, good for some and bad for others. Emma and Jackson, starting now for the next week, you have half shifts, which means Cole and Andrew, you are going to have to pull shifts and a half." As soon as the 2 people that were not present heard, they jumped in. "What the fuck? Why? How? Why?" "Because I need Emma and Jackson to make something, and they need more free time to do it. However, I have spoken with supplies, and you 2 are been authorized for double the standard coffee rations and sports drinks. Also, you are not been placed on standby status, so you will be getting uninterrupted sleep." David said back loudly to get them both to calm down and listen. "And yes, I know it sucks and it's bullshit, but the task they are going is important. So suck it up and calm down. It's just a week and that's it." He waited for a bit. "Any questions?" Daniela looked around the room before raising a grease-covered hand. Would it be possible to arrange a space to celebrate Angie's birthday?" she asked. Which go everyone to eye David carefully. "I have already spoken to the captain and space and approval have been arranged. I'll send everyone the details later. Unfortunately, the ship doesn't have cakes." "Sorry, Angela," David said. "It's okay, I don't like cake," she said to a few shocked gasps. "Any other questions?" David said, watching everyone carefully. Thankfully, none said anything. "Great, Then you are all dismissed. Next briefing will be a few days before we de-jump. Which got him more disgruntled noises. David was about to go to his room to sleep for the night when his communicator beeped. And for the third time, this week didn't like what it said. Human Liaison Officer report to Hans Krieger's lad. Hans Krieger, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, fair-skinned unit of a man, despite his role, has a great understanding of the need to stay in shape and has done so. If he lived in a different time, he wouldn't be amiss in his part of the earth. However, his time on the Vyshtani homeworld has affected his outlook so much that any mention of his ancestry does stop him in his track, something he finds incredibly rude. David decided that whatever the xenobiologist was up to would probably be best not left unattended, exactly if Gavi is the one concerned. So he made his way there, only to arrive at the same time as a Zithphos, the Vyshtani liaison officer, which David decided was even worse. "Zithphos, were you called too?" David said, trying to be nonchalant as possible. "Yes, the AI said that your scientist had found something interesting and recommended I come to see it," Zithphos responded, as they both reached the door, where he quickly requested to enter. As the pneumatic pistons and mag lock unsealed the doors, David was a bit stunned to see a Vyshtani woman standing by the door, shaking uncontrollably, the Vyshtani way of showing excitement, happiness, or joy. "Good, you are both here," she said, grabbing their hands and pulling them toward a microscope. "Take a look." Zithphos looked through the microscope. "I don't understand what I am looking at," he said after looking away. And David took his chance to look too. "It's a culture of Vystani and human genetic material," Hans said, walking up with a tablet. "And the more important part, the immune system of both aren't trying to kill each other." David stood straight. "Dr. Krieger, have you intentionally done a genetics experiment within your first week aboard?" David asked. "Yes, however, all the material was acquired from willing persons, and the experiment had a 1% chance of failure." Zithphos seemed lost at the importance of this. What exactly does this mean? David let out an exasperated sigh. "It means if they perfect it, then the human and Vystani markets can start interacting, and the danger of pathogens and organic material causing illness will be effectively wiped out." Zithphos started to shake too, his scales letting out the chittering clacking. "This is fantastic!" It was then that David realized something. "I am sorry I never got your name. I am David Solomon," David said, turning to face the Vyshtani woman. "I am Noila Quistan. I am the Vyshtani xenobiologist," she said back. Noila was a bit on the shorter side for her spices, but her eyes showed a great understanding behind them. Her scales also carried the traditional markings of her people, which took the shape of a ring of words around her snout, starting from her right eye and spiraling to her left forwardmost fang, which only left him staring a bit flustered. He turned his attention to Hans, and then back to Noila. "I see. Well, it is a pleasure to meet you. If you ever need help with that one, please let me know," he said. "I know how weird he can be," smiling a bit as he pointed at Hans, which earned him a chuckle from the woman. "Well, Hans Noila," David asked aloud, "what is the reason behind this experiment?" "Well, as you are well aware, David, the Vyshtani markets have many wonderful products that humans love, but can cause health problems when consumed too often. And the same is true for the reverse," Hans said in a voice that told David it was a rehearsed speech. "If we can finish this compound, it would remove the potential health issues for both races, allowing for a greater cultural exchange, while also increasing the economy of both nations." Noila finished out. "Okay," David said as he watched Hans for a second. "Just remember, Hans, that not all humans are good-natured." Hans gave him a dismissive hand wave. "Ja, I know, but that shouldn't stop us from moving forward." "Right," David said before turning to Noila. "It was a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Noila." "Yours too," she responded, before David took his leave. He didn't like labs. Something about an all-white and clean environment made him uneasy. David didn't get much sleep, having chosen to spend the night reading more files on crewmates that he may need to interact with more soon. As he auto-ate his food, not noticing much around him until a hand touched his shoulder. "David?" Alaris asked. He said, blinking out of his malaise. "Oh, sorry, can you repeat that?" "What do you make of our Duchess?" Alaris asked again, a light agitation in her tone. "Oh, David paused, thinking over the answer. She is kind enough and seems to care deeply about the ship's crew. Okay, that makes some sense, Alaris responded. BTW, you should see the doctors. Your eyes are discolored. Oh, no need, David said back with a dismissive wave. I just didn't get a lot of sleep last night or the night before. Oh, that is an odd reaction to lack of sleep. What was keeping you awake? Alaris asked. Not really. It's a common side effect for humans, David said, taking a sip of his coffee. I needed to finish reading some things, dossiers and crew files. Oh, did you get to read mine? Alaris asked hesitantly. If I did, would that be a problem? David asked pointedly, relatively sure of her answer. Well, no, she said, a tidbit of nervousness slipping into her speech. I would just like for you to have context behind some actions that may be in your files. I did have a question, if I may ask it, David said carefully. Alaris paused, thinking over her history and considering what he may ask. Sure, I don't think there is a subject I can't talk about. I was wondering if you could tell me who Kianras was. He was listed as your patriarch, but he isn't on the crew manifest, David asked carefully, watching as Alaris practically froze for a half-second. He was Kiga's sire and my first love. Alaris said slowly, he died on Falnira during a Jackalo attack. Oh, I am sorry for your loss. He must have been special for what I have seen of Kiga, David said quickly, trying to soothe Alaris out of her head. Was he why you joined the fighting? Yeah, she said back. He never wanted me to fight. Always said that I had a right to choose my path and not follow my mother's plans. He sounds like a wise man, and thank you for sharing, David added. Yeah, Alaris said as she gathered her things. Excuse me, I have things to attend to. I'll see you later, David said as he watched her walk briskly away. He didn't see her face, but he knew the signs of discomfort in her body language. It has been the better part of a week, and Angela's birthday kicked off without any issue. Coles's time as Kiga's assistant had come to an end, and they had chosen to continue building their friendship. Noila and Hans have been working hard, and progress has been made slowly. However, David's mind was currently stuck on the one person who was not present at the party, Alaris. Maya had convinced him to make this an open party to any member of the ship crew who wanted to join, and while many did, Alaris was not among them. David? Said Misan Henri. You seem angry? What? David said, snapping back to the moment. Sorry, no. I was just thinking about something. I apologize if I scared you. It's okay. Misan Henri is still getting accustomed to your kind. Fear was felt, but you seemed like you were watching the void and not the party. Misan Henri said back. Is there something troubling you? Perhaps Misan Henri can help. Oh, no. I think I know how to solve the issue, but I need to wait a bit longer, David replied. Thank you for your concern and enjoy the party. Before you go, remind Misan Henri why is your kind celebrating? Misan Henri asked. Well, it is the birthday of Angela. In our culture, it is cause for celebration. Its root lives in the harsh conditions of our homeworld. David answered. I am sure the concept is odd, the thought of celebrating the birth of a child. Yes, it is, however. It is mostly because Misan Henri fears that if we did, the Lithrani would never get anything done. Given the number of offspring, we can bear every cycle, Misan Henri said. Thank you, this has been a great experience. David gave the small Lithrani a warm smile and turned to speak with the only person he could think of that could help him. Hey, Cole, can I have a moment with Kiga? David asked as he got closer. David, you and I know that I am not the one to give such permission, Cole said back with all the sass he could muster. Kiga had instead given him a playful punch in the arm. It's fine, Cole. I have a feeling I know what he wants to ask. You go and enjoy the party, and I'll find you when we are done, she said. Cole smiled and walked away, leaving David and Kiga well out of earshot of most at the party. So, David, what do you want? Kiga asked as she crossed her arms. I'm going to assume your mother told you about our last chat? David asked. Yes, Kiga said plainly. I need your help mending mine and her connection. Could you please help me? David asked. Why should I? I see no reason to, Kiga said back. David looked at Kiga, a bit startled by her response. Why wouldn't she help? The relationship between the races on the ship was fragile at best. But then a reason come to mind. Kiga wanted something, and David was the one to help her. This is a negotiation, and David had to play his hand right. "What do you want?" David asked directly. "Well, I want a lot of things, but currently I need you to train Cole." She said, "None of the men in the pack want to train him, and my mother will not approve of my request unless he is trained." "Train for what?" David asked. "My killer hinner," she said, having chosen to drop the veil. "As my father is dead, an old wound that you reopened in my mother, I don't have someone that can tighten my armband. However, I can have my Mishra do it instead of my father. I plan to make Cole my Mishra until the end of this expedition." "You do realize that Cole is human," David said. "He can't speak Xandris, let alone have the physical strength to tighten your armband." "I'm aware, but I don't care. Those are my conditions. You want my help coaxing my mother into speaking with you again, or not?" she said back. It was a hard request, one that David wasn't sure he could fulfill, but his mission relied on the Xandrafin pack being on his side. "I will do my best to train him, but I can't guarantee anything," David said, still unsure if he should make this deal. "And about Alaris, will you help me?" "Yeah, I'll have a talk with her and tell you what you need to do. My mother is really hard to read sometimes, but that is why she is our pack leader," Kiga said before heading off back into the party.